the situation?
The police are reporting that armed terrorists have attacked the Israeli athletes.
There's a hostage situation going on right now in the Olympic Village.
ABC wants news to take over.
That's a look at the trailer for the new film September 5. It tells a terrifying story of the Munich massacre during the 1972 Olympics, told from the perspective of a group of sports journalists. The movie hits theaters today, and here to tell us more about it is CBC senior entertainment reporter Eli Glasner. Eli, September 5, I've heard about this. Set the scene for us.
So this is the Munich Olympics. This was the first time the Olympics were broadcast live around the world. Like, we take it for granted, but they had it up on the bird, as they called it, the satellite. And so ABC Sports was there. Started off as just a typical day. There's the main character, Jeffrey Mason. He's the studio director. He's calling the shots. He's the guy saying, give me camera 2, take camera 1, get ready in the close-up. There's some boxing, there's some volleyball. So everything seems to be going all well. Let's check in as they begin and end their first shift.
And we're clear. Great job, everyone.
Do you hear that?
Were those gunshots?
Those are gunshots from the Black September attackers who forced their way into the Israeli quarter, taking 11 hostages, athletes and coaches, killing one of them. This all happens at 5 a.m. in the morning. And remember, this is 1972. So this was something that was new, totally unexpected. All of this being broadcast live by the sports team, where in the moment they're still trying to figure out, like, what do we call these attackers? The terminology. Are they guerrillas? Are they commandos? The Germans used the word terrorist, so terrorist it was. Now, this was the sports crew in Munich, and ABC News wanted to take over, but Peter Sarsgaard plays a very famous broadcasting executive, Rune Arledge, and he's making the case that we're near the story, we're keeping the story. Take a look.
Look, I know this isn't a responsibility that everyone wants, but does it make more sense to have a talking head from news take over from halfway across the world? Our job is to tell the stories of these individuals whose lives are at stake 100 yards away. And our job is really straightforward. We put the camera in the right place.
They were so close that they took their studio camera, kind of an older version of what I'm talking to you on now, they rolled it out the door, put it on a hill, and pointed it at the athletes' village where those hostages were now being held. But much of this film, almost all of it, takes place inside that control room. So these technicians, these journalists, these producers are just listening to the radio, getting wire copy, talking to Peter Jennings, the Canadian reporter, on the phone, trying to figure out what's happening, relaying that all to their sports anchor, who is telling the world hundreds and hundreds of millions are now tuning in to watch. But then they realize, well, who else is watching? Take a look.
Make it broadcast history. More people have seen this than watch Armstrong land on the moon.
There are police on the roof.
Oh, guys.
That's a TV. Are they seeing what we're seeing?
What are you talking about?
Are the terrorists seeing this?
So that is that amazing moment where they're pushing in on this window, and you can see that little square of flickering light, and they begin to suspect or realize that flickering light is their signal that they're sending out. And if the terrorists are watching their broadcast, there are implications.
Eli, you know, you're watching this as a movie critic, someone who's looking at it from a very artistic perspective. But as you mentioned, you're using the same technology, right, to communicate. And especially in that clip with Sarsgaard, it's so moving because we're journalists. The aspiration of the kind of reporter you'd like to be. So I wonder from these two perspectives how you felt about the film.
There's the ethics, then also the technology. And I'll get to the ethics in a moment, which is part of what makes this movie so exciting and intense for me. But it's also the how they did this. This is 72. Look at the buttons. Look at the switches. Consider this. They send Peter Jennings out to a hotel so they can get a shot of the athletes' village where the hostages are being held. He's shooting on film, 16 millimeter with a cameraman. How do you get that film? It's 72. You're not going to beam it. They took one of the employees from ABC. They dressed him up like an athlete so he could get past the police, get into Jennings' room, give him a sandwich, a walkie-talkie, cigarettes, and some film, took his film back to the control room where they're now developing it on demand. When Jeff, the studio director, calls for slow motion, there's a guy with his hands on the reel turning them in slow motion. So it's so tactile. It's so physical. Now, beyond the how and the stuff of it is this amazing performances. You've got John Magaro as this studio director. He used to do Golf Live. So this is a big day for him, and he's trying to rise to the occasion. But as the story develops, and you see that shot there, like they're broadcasting images of the police. But then are they contributing to the problem? Are we as voyeurs giving the terrorists what they want by actually broadcasting this event that is seen by millions? And the crux of this film really is almost like the journalistic version of the Heisenberg effect, right? When we are watching something and we are sharing it with the world, how does it change that issue? And as journalists in this newsroom, we take our facts very seriously. We are not going to report on something until we have verified it. But ABC were under so much pressure. Everyone was watching. They were the only crew that was live on air. And this shows you the danger of going too quickly with this story. There's a reason why we source and double source things. And so in 2024, the fact that we have a film that is not only about journalism, but really the climax is about the ethics and why we report the news the way we report and the danger of what happens when you get that wrong. That is, to me, what makes this just a fascinating experience.
And people at home should know we do have these conversations every single day. What's right, what's wrong, what is responsible, in this line of work. And I just love any movie that explores that. Did you love this movie?
So I'm going to give you my rating, and it is nearly perfect. 4.5 stars out of 5. I would have given it a 5, but I feel like I'm biased because this is so much in my wheelhouse. So I'm reserving half a star, but I really do think it's a must-see.
No one can accuse you of bias, Eli. You're a great reporter.
Thank you.
Eli Glasner, thanks so much.
My pleasure.